Delighted to be joined by a Labour MP who then saw the light and moved towards reform. A man after my own heart who says it like it is, which makes him about as popular as I am. Simon Danshuk, a very good afternoon. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon. It's good to be with you, and happy birthday.
Not yet. 10 days. How old are you, Danshuk? About 80-something, aren't you? How old are you?
Yeah, no, I'm 58.
Are you younger than me? Jesus, man.
Yeah, I know. I'll be 59 this October.
Good man.
Yeah.
So today is just one of those days. Can we start with Zara Sultana? You were an MP. This Labour MP for Coventry South seems to make it her life's work to stick up for and stick the boot into anything and everybody. She's very pro-Palestine, that is her right. But she has today posted on X, "We are all Palestine action." This is the proscribed terrorist group that Yvette Cooper is going to, well, basically in a few days' time, if she posted that, she should be arrested, shouldn't she, Simon Danshuk?
Yeah, absolutely. The Home Secretary is going to prescribe Palestine Action as a terrorist organisation any day now. But I have to say that Sultana there is not the only one. This is the ugly face of the Parliamentary Labour Party. Clive Lewis, another Labour MP.
Norwich.
Norwich, coming out recently, saying, very recently, saying that they shouldn't be banned, saying that they have a right to protest. But this isn't protest. They've committed 365 crimes over the last 5 years. I mean, 356 crimes over the last 5 years. That's significant. These are one of the engines that they sprayed paint into could cost the taxpayer, us, listeners to this programme, £25 million to replace.
And can I make a point that somebody made on the show yesterday? You weren't with us yesterday, of course, but I don't know actually, was it some, I don't know who it was, but they said, you're describing this as vandalism talk. You've got that wrong. It is sabotage, and sabotage is a terrorist offence. They reckon the bill will be 35 million for the two of the only 14 voyagers we've got. That is a terrorist. I mean, that is without any shadow of a doubt. Zara Sultana, we are all Palestine action. Do people, I mean, that's an elected representative.
Yeah, these people should not be in the Parliamentary Labour Party. No. And if Starmer doesn't sort them out, he's almost complicit, isn't he? He shouldn't be relying on these people.
But Si can't sort it out because the tent is so huge, I say, every day. I mean, the Trump thing's interesting. Did you see that footage earlier where he stood with Trump and Trump drops his papers and Starmer's bending down like a schoolboy, picking it up, and I'm thinking, good God, that's my Prime Minister. But he can't come off the fence and support what Trump's done against the Iranians. And it's all things to all people. In the end, you get bitten on the backside by everybody, don't you?
Oh, that's right. I've been talking about that on social media over the last 24 hours. I mean, Starmer's inability to come out and support our allies, the US and Israel, in terms of Iran, is absolutely deplorable. And he's pushing out ministers, Rachel Reeves and Luke Pollard, the Armed Forces Minister, yesterday morning. And he couldn't even say whether Britain supports its allies in this action. He wants the outcome. He wants Iran not to have nuclear weapons, but he won't endorse, and you have to ask why he won't endorse our allies. But let me tell you, and I said this on social media, it's because he doesn't want to upset the Muslim vote in Britain. That's quite clearly the case. Somebody else in Westminster I had lunch with today was saying that the other reason Starmer won't commit to supporting our allies is because he's very nervous with some of the people who are already in Britain who could quite easily take action within Britain, and he doesn't want to upset them. Look how bad the situation is. What sort of situation is Britain in?
I completely agree. And one of the things, there's so much. We had you on last week and we were talking about the rape gangs, and much the same there. He won't come out and forcibly say whatever is basically everybody's thinking, because he doesn't want to upset the Muslim vote. And I find myself in a slightly difficult position, actually, sometimes on this show, because there isn't a racist bone in my body. I know the same with you. But the fact of the matter is, that is true. A majority of those rapists were British Pakistani men, and the Muslim vote is very important. Keir Starmer's going to become hamstrung by his... Look at this footage. I'll pick your papers up, idiot. He so tries to be all things to all people that he ends up in my opinion, seemingly toothless. I mean, at the moment, the Labour Party, you'll know this, they reckon it's at 120 Labour MPs joining a bid to block the welfare reforms, and that's just a $5 billion cut. He promised $20 billion. How's he going to get that through?
Yeah, absolutely. He's in a awkward place. He's a complete...
Of his own making, Si. Of his own making.
Totally. I mean, Starmer is not very good at politics, and he glided into becoming leader of the Labour Party. I think many people in the Labour Party thought he would be a stopgap before choosing somebody else. They didn't expect him to be quite as successful, or for the Conservatives to be quite as bad. But then he's glided into Downing Street, and he's way out of his depth. You know, I've been in politics 35 years. He's been in politics probably about 8 or 9 years. And you can see he just doesn't get it. He just doesn't know how to communicate. The people certainly haven't taken to him as Prime Minister. He's probably the most unpopular Prime Minister, certainly in our lifetimes. There's no doubt about that. He just does not know how to lead.
He's not a political animal, is he? Right. So well, there's a great story in the front of the Sun today, which I'm sure you'll have seen. But in fact, I mean, such a great piece of undercover journalism. Small boats, migrants, getting illegal £1,000 a week delivery rider jobs within hours, literally within hours, all over the Sun there. Absolutely fantastic article. It just begs so many questions, Si, doesn't it? I mean, you come from the north, you represented a northern constituency. I am beginning to understand even more than I do the frustration people must feel when they read stories like that about people coming to this country and basically having their backsides wiped. Harry Cole at the beginning of the show, he said that was a perfect example for the Home Office this morning to deploy Border Force and the police, bang some doors in and arrest some people, because patently Border Force aren't doing anything. And I would also, not next week, I'd have dragged the five, you know it's a big five, the CEOs in this morning to 10 Downing Street and said, I'm going to fine you billions and billions of pounds. Nothing like that, though. He's off in The Hague, wringing his hands, picking up Donald Trump's paper. That's what we need. We need action, don't we? People need to see.
Yeah, great piece of investigative journalism by the Sun there. And what many of us already suspected, didn't we? We see these people going around London or wherever you might live, Greater Manchester, etc. They're quite clearly not following the rules. They're not following the law. They're driving too fast on these bikes and all the rest of it. And they don't have the right credentials. I mean, we all could suspect this, and now it's being proven. But you're right, the response from the minister in the Home Office is, oh, well, I'll meet with these businesses, Deliveroo and everybody else, sometime next week. There's no urgency in terms of tackling these issues. These people shouldn't, illegal immigrants, they shouldn't be in the country. Even if they are seeking asylum, they shouldn't be allowed to work. That's the rules in all of this. They're just making a mockery of it all. And the worst of all, we are subsidising it by paying for their accommodation in nice hotels and giving them a daily allowance. So anybody who does this job legitimately is trying to compete with that. It's impossible.
I want to say that word, though. I mean, you touched upon something that's so relevant to our current Prime Minister. And by the way, this is not an endorsement on what we had before. There doesn't seem to be, whether it's the fibre or the cojones or the gut instinct, or whatever you want to call it, there doesn't seem to be that in Starmer to understand what makes the British people tick. I can tell you that any other man or woman with a brain cell this morning as Prime Minister would have banged some doors in at 6 o'clock and had that all over the televisions. Absolutely spot on. Absolutely the right thing to do. I've sat and listened and interviewed and talked to so many politicians and so many experts, Si, and they all say the thing is there's not really an answer to this migrant situation. The thing is, you know, we're hamstrung by the ECHR. I don't understand, even Starmer, why do you think he understands where people are at? Because people have had enough. And for me, I said it, I've said it to you, I'll say it again, I would not allow them to put one foot in this country. They'd be processed in a large liner off the coast, and if they cannot be proven to be legal, then they are taken to a detention centre, which I would probably build on the Falkland Islands or the Orkney Islands. And as much as Trump, and we all criticise Donald Trump, you heard Michael Graham before the thing, none. They haven't bring any laws. He's just made it unattractive, right? We are too soft. But for me, the worst part of us being too soft for illegal migrants, Simon, is that that's impacting on the British people, British working class people who apparently the Labour Party is supposed to be working for. No.
Starmer has an international view, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Of international law, a globalist view of how the world should work and how Britain should interact with it. I think deep down he believes in open borders. I think that's the reality.
Do you? You believe that, do you?
I really do. And all his actions suggest that. I think he's just spinning around this issue. There's no substance to it. I don't think it's gone up by a third. Illegal immigration has gone up by a third. He immediately came in and scrapped the Rwanda plan, which was shown to be a deterrent. That's the irony of it. Now, I know it got bogged down with the Conservatives and they never got it fully off the ground. But when it was proposed, the numbers of illegal immigrants reduced dramatically because they knew they might end up in Rwanda. And he scrapped it immediately. Why didn't he try it out? Why didn't he give it a chance? Because he genuinely believes in open borders.
Well, it's really interesting, actually. The analogy I'm going to make is we interviewed, I can never remember his name. What's the Tony Abbott, the ex-Australian Prime Minister, about a year ago on this station, and he was the one that brought in the deportations of migrants from Australia. And you're not going to be processing. You go to a detention centre, and there was a world outcry when it happened. Australia supported him massively, and Albanese, who followed him, the Labour Prime Minister, kept that policy, and Australia doesn't have an issue. I don't believe there can be a gut desire to do anything about this. I don't believe it can be this difficult. I don't believe that it's a great look. And all those people that say to me, oh, yes, but we don't take as many as other people. I don't give a toss. There's too many coming into our country. Our country cannot even pay the interest on the money that it owes. And that's the important thing in all of this, isn't it? The people here who are suffering as a result.
Yes, and not just from having to pay taxes to support these people. As the Casey review, Louise Casey's review into the grooming gangs pointed out, the disproportionate number of the rape gang perpetrators were foreign nationals seeking asylum in this country. So the fact that the numbers have gone up by a third under Keir Starmer effectively suggests that the number of rapists has gone up under Keir Starmer, and that's impacting white working class communities, particularly in the north, but elsewhere as well. That's the reality of it. It's absolutely awful. I
want to take a call with you, if that's all right. Don't go anywhere, Simon Danshut. We'll go to Essex. Steve, you're on Talk Drive. Simon Danshut with me. What do you want to say, my friend?
Jeremy, you had a caller earlier that said about the guys that drive the boats over in the channel.
Yep.
I can tell you now that the guys come over, they get taken away, the boats get stored without an engine. I tried to do a deal and buy some of these boats and was told that we can't allow the boats to be sold because we have to leave them in storage in case the owners come back and claim them.
God. Simon Danshut, help me out. I think I'm going to implode on national radio. What the hell's wrong with this country? Can you just repeat that? So you're telling me that people who bring illegal migrants to this country get arrested and their boats get put in storage. They don't get destroyed. I'm going to stick a pin in it, or an axe if it was me. You can't do that because they might be found innocent and it will be their property. Is that right, Steve?
The owner can come back and claim them. And furthermore, the guy that's drove the boat or steered the boat over after chucking the engine over, none of these boats have got an engine. They get on the next ferry. They go into the system Manston. They slip away, get on the next ferry back and do the same thing the following 2 or 3 days afterwards.
Simon Danshut, your response to an incredible call?
I completely believe it as well. I believe what Steve said. It's outrageous, isn't it? I mean, we are on the side of the criminals. I mean, the justice system doesn't support the victims or the taxpayer. It supports the perpetrators, the criminals. And Steve, you were right. Why don't we destroy the boats immediately? Why don't we arrest the person driving the boat? He's quite clearly part of the smuggling gang. I thought, Starmer says he'll smash the gangs. I don't know what he's smashing, but it's certainly not the gangs, that's for sure. Why not arrest the person driving the boat? It's as simple as that.
Completely
There's so many
agree.
different actions you could take, but he fails to take any.
Steve in Essex, thank you for your call. Keep them coming, by the way. 0344 499 1000. To sum it up, Simon, and the brilliant thing about you, you are an ex-Labour MP, and your views on that organisation now are very different to what they were. Do you believe that Starmer, you made the point about, his experience. Do you think he lasts the entire 4 years? Because I sit here on a daily basis thinking, Jesus, I don't think we can take much more of this. And that's not, as an ex-Tory and now Reform voter, I put my cards on the table. I'm desperate for change, but I know that I'm British. I wanted Starmer to... I hated the Tories at the end. I wanted him to succeed, but it is absolutely awful. Awful.
Yeah, no. And you've got to remember the Parliamentary Labour Party just does not change its leader. They just never change mid-term. They always let them fight the next general election. So you would expect that to be the norm. But my prediction is that the situation will get that bad, and we're gradually moving closer to it in terms of illegal immigration, in terms of people being very unhappy, the economy getting worse. It will get to the point where the Parliamentary Labour Party get rid of Starmer. I think that will be the case. Now, it might be 12 months, 2 years perhaps, but I think they'll get rid of him before the general election.
And we know who will be the next leader without even mentioning it, Wes Streeting, by a mile. That'll be what happens, and I'm sure Morgan McSweeney is already planning that. But I'm with you. There has to come a point where people will go, hold on a second, look at those polls, look at the numbers of migrants. And by the way, and I repeat this every day for a reason, there is no part of me that sticks up for the shambles that was the Tory party at the end, but I don't understand politicians that don't seem to want to do something about a problem that is staring us all in the face. In fact, what I call the average Briton, Si, right? Mr. and Mrs. Normal, who bring up their kids and pay their taxes and don't cause any trouble, right? They're raging, man. They're raging.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
if politicians don't understand they're raging, they're going to be elected out. They're going to be unelected. I think that's really relevant. You're always welcome, my friend. It's great to have you back. Simon Danchuk, former Labour MP on Talk Drive.